Alright, so next we have a panel discussion. The topic is actually something I also have very close to my heart, and it's focused on women in tech, and in general I'm interested about women in tech, women in entrepreneurship, and women in gaming, and why there aren't that many. We know that mixed teams always produce best results. So our panelists will have a chance to introduce themselves. Therefore, I'm going to introduce only the moderator. She's a writer. She's a storyteller. She is currently analyzing startups who use Kanban approach and the Lean approach, and she's writing a book about it. So join me in welcoming on stage Irina Jambazova.
Ladies, please. We're looking for one more. Anca, where are you? We need you on stage. Anca, hello. Okay, while we wait for her to come, before I let these ladies introduce themselves, actually I want to ask the question that maybe some of you are having. Why are we having women in tech panel here? You know, this is about growth hacking and startups. So tell me, why are we here? And tell them, why are we here?
I have to, yeah. So, in case you haven't noticed, we're not that many women in tech overall in startups, and it's not like we're a particular species or something. We're just half the population overall. So maybe you may disagree that it's not normal, and it's not like, okay, we need to push the women in there, but still there's something there, and I think we're here just to open the dialogue. And it's not about what is the topic of your conference. Okay, this conference is about growth hacking, but this is a topic that should maybe be addressed in just all conferences related to tech, to startups. We should just be talking about it.
Hello everyone, my name is Jarmila Plachá, and I'm happy to introduce Wayra CEE, because I happen to have this honorable role to be Wayra CEE director. The reason why I'm here is that I was invited by one of my startups, and the invitation was so intense that I couldn't resist. So I would like to first of all say thank you to Martin Linkov from Ingenio, because he made me come all the way from Prague to Sofia. The reason why I'm here is that I spent last 15 years working for big companies, and during last year working for Wayra, I realized that we do solve similar issues, and it's called lack of women. It's not lack of women in the everyday world, but I believe that lack of women, the higher you go, and it doesn't matter if it's a company or if it's a startup, the higher you go, the less and less women there are. Just a couple of numbers. Among 350 startups which Wayra so far invested in, we have only 25% of the companies with female founders, and only 4% of companies have female staff only. So if you look at the portfolio and you say 4%, is it enough or is it satisfactory? And 25% of founders, is it enough? I don't think so. So I'm here to discuss, not only today but also tomorrow, what is your opinion about female leadership, and how can we help coming from corporate world as well as coming from the startup world to make sure that the female element is getting more and more visible. Thank you.
I cannot. I'm Monika Kovachka-Dimitrova from SAP. Actually, this issue, if I have to say an issue, struck me 2 years ago, because I succeeded and I thought it's really easy and doable for everyone. But when I look at the statistic, with a company which is actually doing a lot in this direction, and the statistic didn't change over the time. We have 33% women in Bulgaria, for example, but on higher positions it's less than 10%. That cannot be the case. And since I'm also a mother of 11-year-old daughter, who at the moment hates mathematics from school because the teacher said something to her, I said I have to do something about it.
Hello, my name is Anca, and I'm here to discuss, I guess, women in technology and startups, but I think I have a slightly different perception, because I think that this issue exists in all industries out there. It's not just related to tech or startups or entrepreneurship. I think it exists in every industry, and it's due to a long history of thousands of years of women not being empowered and not doing what they need to do to believe in themselves. So I guess I'm here to promote, or to inspire, to motivate women to stop discriminating against themselves, and start to take action and be more bold.
Sounds very good. Thank you all. Just a quick reminder, if you have questions to either Anca, Lucie, Jarmila, or Monika, you know how to ask questions, and we'll try to leave 5-10 minutes in the end so we can actually cover your questions as well. Lucie, please tell us a bit more about your experience, because we know what the problems are, and you've all shared some significant things, but we're actually here now to spend the next 40 minutes talking, oh, this is the problem, that is the problem, but talk about solutions. And I see all four of you coming from very different backgrounds, and you found yourselves in very different contexts right now. And you are successful women as far as I can see you, and I think as far as everyone can see you. Tell us a bit more about you.
Hi, so yeah, I forgot to mention my name earlier. So yeah, I'm Lucie. I'm basically running a co-working space, tech-focused, in Berlin. We're also the home of the Startup Bootcamp Accelerator in Berlin. So I'm not myself a startup founder, but I do hang out with a lot of geeks on a daily basis. Before that, I was working in Paris for Paris Region Enterprises, also on tech topics, but more with corporates. So I think, obviously the junior here, but still, even if things are changing, and even with hanging out very, very young guys that are maybe a bit, I don't know, less stubborn or close-minded, I don't know, I would hope. Still, there's just still some kind of discrimination or like casual kind of sexism in what you encounter in the startup environment.
So it's very interesting what you're saying about the sexism and everything. Do you think that women need to be feminized in some way so that they fit in this tech,
On the contrary.
All right.
Okay. Should I let themselves introduce themselves before?
Let's do the defeminization.
Okay. I think on the contrary at all. It's like we should not like change who we are and adapt ourselves. I'm not either saying that like the whole industry should adapt to us, but I think what's interesting, and we have to, we would get it up from actually having more feminine characters in the industry. And for this, I actually have a really, really good example, which is my personal mentor, Lisa Lang. Maybe some of you guys know her. She's just this awesome lady. So right now doing the European marketing for Twilio, also evangelista for Building Geekettes, crazy about hardware, laser cutting, 3D printing, and all these stuff. And she's the typical person who is super inspiring by being the most feminine and having like pink bangs sorted with her nail polish, and still being a super techie. She knows her shit. And this is the kind of women that are super inspiring, and it's like a new kind of characters. We didn't have that before. Like at the same time, super feminine and techie.
So we can be us and still
exactly
in that industry. I think that's a good point. Jarmila, you spend most of your time in the corporate world, and then you switch sort of to the more startup accelerator world. Can you tell us a bit more about your journey?
It's interesting because, in fact, I'm still working for a corporation because I forgot to mention that Wayra is powered and sponsored by Telefonica. It's part of a project, much wider platform called Open Future, and Wayra is one element of it. My journey is it was pretty tough to be where I am, and maybe you are asking why did I leave the corporate world and join the startup world? Because startup world seemed to be much more attractive, and during the last couple of months there were two sexy worlds and two sexy words which you can hear in corporate world, and one of them is innovation and the second one is startup. And I was always trying to be there where something was happening. So when I got this offer to switch from banking industry, and I had a senior management role, I was a CMO for one of the banks. I was thinking about it, and I said, why the hell should I do it? And then I said to myself, yes, you need to do it because you have an opportunity to learn. And so the outcome of what I just said is, it doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman, you just need to have the hunger and you just need to strive for being the best one. So, you know, I'm anti-feminist in fact, because every single time when someone is asking me, how the hell did you make it to the top, and what was the most, what is the piece of advice you received? And I say, opportunities are like buses, which Branson said, there is always another one coming, and if there is an opportunity, and it doesn't matter if you are a man or a female, you just need to look at it, and you just need to evaluate how much it will cost you, because nothing in this world is for free. And in order to be successful, no matter if you are working as a startup 24 hours a day, or if you are working in corporations, surprise, surprise, also 24 a day, you just need to devote something and pay something back. And the most valuable element which we have and which we are using to pay back is our time. So when I was working in a big bank, we were always pushed to hire more women, and but the policy said you need to have the female candidate, but she needs to be as good as a male candidate, which was good because I'm honestly and truthfully, I'm against any quota. Because if you say we need at least 30% of females in the parliament, or I will hire next year only startups with female founders, I believe it's wrong, because you discriminate women in fact. You discriminate them by letting them the easy way instead of saying, yes, you are good enough and you made it. So my learning from both corporate and startup world is, it doesn't matter whether you are female or male, you just need to be good. And in order to be good, you need to sacrifice something. And we are all sacrificing our time, energy, effort. And we just need to, as female elements, as females, as women, we just need to support each other more. Because what I've noticed, quite a surprising element, if men are coming to the top, they go after the office hours, they go to the beer, or even startups go for beer, they go and play football, they go and play tennis. In the morning, my startups go jogging together, some of them in the morning, and we women do not do it, we do not stick together. So the lack of support among ourselves is the thing which I believe that we are missing. And I'm not asking about someone guiding me and taking me by hand and saying, I will open the next door for you. I'm looking at something which is called sponsorship, which is not called mentorship, it's called sponsorship. Because you need to have someone who will support you, who will give you a precious piece of advice, but at the same time, who will connect you with the relevant people. That's my learning.
I think you brought two very important points. I'll leave one for a little bit later. I want to come back to the quotas because I find it a very interesting topic because it's distinct, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing at the same time. It's a good thing because we do understand and we do know that women tend to be less egocentric about themselves, less self-assured about themselves, and they can be incredibly capable, and yet for some reason they just don't believe themselves as much as men do. I mean, we were talking with you just a while ago. You know, sometimes a man can be 20% ready for a raise and he will go for it, and then a woman could be 80% ready and she still might feel not ready. I'm curious, Monika, what is your observation from your experience in SAP, which is pretty substantial?
Okay, so in SAP we don't have quotas, but actually because we brought the topic to the table and the executive board brought it on the table, they decided to put a KPI just to make sure that they are following this awareness for themselves and they are not forgetting that they wanted to achieve something. Because many times we say, okay, let's do something about it, and if you are not doing it consciously, it doesn't get done. And we had, unfortunately, we also have this negative example even with the KPI, because we had one very talented woman. She was promoted last year after returning from a second maternity leave. And she passed through a very nice internal training for women in leadership. She was fighting with 19 other candidates, only 2 women and 18 men, and she won that position. And when she entered the room of her new team, who didn't know her, the first thing she heard was, oh, we are meeting the KPIs. They even didn't want to see who she is, you know, the person there, just to accept first the person and then do the judgment. You know, if you can leave the judgment for a while and these prejudices up front, it will help a lot.
So this is one of the first things we ask. Please leave the prejudice behind the door. Anca, you come from a slightly different perspective. You spend quite a lot of time with Startup Weekend, and you've been to all-women Startup Weekends, and you've been to mixed Startup Weekends, let's put it that way. What is your take on the ratio and how women are doing in startups in per se?
I think I'll introduce myself as well.
Yes.
Okay, my life seems to be changing every 5 years, so I'll just focus on the last 5. I was a graphic and web designer. One thing led to another, and I became the web administrator of Startup Weekend websites, which involved around 500 subdomains and servers and all techie stuff. So I was the tech support for all the organizers around the world. After that, I took over the role of operations manager for Central and Eastern Europe because I wanted to focus on Romania originally, and I wanted to focus on this region because I think it has an amazing potential and super cool people and smart. And after that, they promoted me to be the business development manager for the whole of Europe. And last year, I started a collaboration with them, and I started my own project called CEE Changers, with which I want to connect the people that are actually doing a lot of things to grow the communities, the startup communities in their local, in their cities, in their countries, and connect these people and try to promote cross-border collaboration and accelerate the development of the region. Because I truly believe, like I've traveled extensively throughout the region, and I met people involved in growing this entrepreneurial world. And I think that if we work together, we have a lot higher chances of actually getting there faster, whatever there is. And also creating our own identity. We don't have to copy the American, or the Western startup world. And I also work with a company called Capital on Stage, which is, when you go to events like Startup Weekend and all these events for entrepreneurs, usually they put startups and founders on stage to pitch to entrepreneurs, to pitch to investors. So what Capital on Stage is actually backwards. So we get investors on stage to pitch to 200 startup founders. And it's really interesting to see. Okay, so that's really short, brief.
Thank you.
So, I did go to events that were only women, for example, the one in Seattle, and they got so much shit done. There was no bullshitting, there was no wasting time, there was no, oh, let's go have a beer, or let's do that, or like, let's hang out, like, listen to some music and shoot the shit, or whatever. No, they were like so focused on getting stuff done. And it was very impressive, it was very impressive seeing women actually work together and building startups, and it was very motivating. And also, on at the mixed where I've been to, there's a different dynamic when there's a girl in a team. Because girls, I don't know if it's our capability of, I'm sure that a lot of guys have it too, but to multitask. We are really good at multitasking, and because of that, I think that women have the ability to coordinate, a team and actually be in a leadership role. So I think that the thing that we need to be aware of, and what I'm trying to do with women whenever I talk, like I wouldn't say that I'm anti-feminism, and I wouldn't say that I'm pro-feminism. I just think that women, as much as men, have the same capabilities, and we are as smart, but because of education and because of history, men have a different perspective and prejudice, like Monika and Irina said. And there are two ways to approach this. One of them is to be all like, oh no, like I'm being discriminated against, I'm a victim of this industry, and I will not be able to get anything done, and I'm not accepted into an accelerator because I'm a woman. And I think that's wrong, because if you use this to make excuses for yourself and for your failures, then you will not learn and you will not progress in any way. And then the other way that you can approach this is actually, gaining respect and proving yourself. Like Jarmila said, I don't know how to say it, I'm sorry. But, actually proving yourself. And I know that it's not necessarily fair to have to prove yourself as a person, as a girl, but trust me, men do it too. And they did it for a very long time, through our wars and whatever. Like if you look through our history, men proved themselves to be strong, to be good leaders, and this is what we have to do. And I think this stage, this age that we live in, with technology and innovation, I think that we have a really good chance to do this because we have as many opportunities as any other person out there. You can build stuff, you can do things, you can learn on your own. You don't have to go and get accepted in any school. You can just learn coding on your own. That's what I did anyway. And you can do stuff. You don't depend on anyone, and you don't have to listen to your mother or your father or your boyfriend or anyone. You do what you want to do, and you have that freedom. And internet and technology gives us this freedom. So I think that having this approach, okay, I am who I am. It doesn't matter what gender I am, and it doesn't matter who discriminates against me. I know who I am, and I know what I'm capable of, and I know how to achieve it. And focusing on that will bring a lot more success on a much bigger scale than playing the victim part of being, let's set quotas and, yeah.
No, thank you. You're bringing out a very good point, and it's actually what we're trying to achieve here. Speaking of solution, is actually what is it that women can do? What is it that we can do? But I'm curious also the others, starting with Lucie, what are things that you think that we can give as advice to women who are sort of like about to make that first step and enter the technology but are just hesitant? What is the advice that you can give them?
Well, first of it, I would just like to react because we've had already two panelists mentioning the word anti-feminism. And I really have a lot of problem with this word, and I'm also myself far from saying like, oh hey, I'm a feminist and everything, but I think this word is very well misunderstood, and like feminism is just stating that basically women and men have the same rights. That's all it is. And then it has been transformed, and then there has been feminist movements. And that's how, by just making this conversation about feminism or not feminism, am I a feminist? We're not even talking about what is interesting, and we're just boring the men. And no, I'm serious. And we just got a question from the audience, like, what do you say to men that feel that they're not concerned by this conversation? And men, you are, because it's just about how do we make this environment in which we all work just a bit more balanced.
Just to correct you, we didn't say that we are anti-feminist.
No, of course.
We just said that this should not be the issue.
Yeah.
We should not discuss about it, so you are discussing about it right now.
Okay. I was not like pointing any fingers. I was just saying, just also to react to this question that was just asked. It's like, okay. Anyways, then about the question was how to basically
how do we move forward.
Yeah. Then I would say actually, go for it. It's amazing all the support you can have. You mentioned earlier, and I agree that we still lack a bit sometimes the support from other women, but there are some initiatives that start taking form and being quite successful. And once you go for it, it's like a snowball effect. I don't know if it means anything in English, but just then you will go, then you will have some really positive feedback about what you do. And get more and more, I don't know, energy and confidence in what you do. So look around, connect with the right people that can inspire you, and you'll find support.
And there's plenty of them, right? That's something that we need to remember. There's actually a lot of us, a lot of them out there.
I think there's more of the positive ones than the negative ones.
Yeah.
And more.
Yeah, Mila?
Not to ignore the questions, I will just pick up the third one. What are the advantages of having women in a startup world? Out of my 9 startups, which I currently have in the Wayra CEE in Prague, there is not a single female founder. And the female and women that they employ, they either hire them as CMOs, or one of the startups called Sofia hired a sales lady. We quite recently had a big event for investors, and investors are dominantly men. We can also argue why only men are representing, most of them are men. And they were looking at 9 guys, and this became really boring because all of these big egos, young-looking, good-looking guys were presenting. And all of a sudden, there was this brittle girl who presented as a sales leader, who presented Safino. And all of a sudden, you could see the awakening. So what I'm saying is a fresh element to have a female in the team. And it's not only to look at, but it's the fresh element to help with the business model, with the organization of your daily stuff. It's proven that corporations which have female in their top management teams are more profitable. So what I'm saying is a startup is nothing else but a future profitable tycoon, future profitable business. So I would strongly recommend, even if you are 2 genius founders or 4 genius entrepreneurs who decided to start your own new Dropbox or Facebook, I would strongly recommend to think about hiring a lady and add her to your team. Because think about this refreshing element, not to look at, but this will be a great puzzle piece into the structure of your team. Because female, sometimes they are more devoted to detail, so you as guys might miss something at the very beginning. Sometimes they are thinking about different things which you do not consider as priorities. And at the end of the day, if you win their loyalty and if you win their heart, they will be working very hard for you. So what I'm saying is we are male and female, men and women are supposed to be together. So why not to be together in business? Because if you have only top management team made of men, these guys are sometimes their behavior and their language tends to go and deteriorate, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, because I just go to the pub after 10 p.m. and you see guys after a couple of beers and you see what sort of language they are using. They will never use this kind of language in front of a woman because they would like to show off. So think about female element as a fresh element in the startup world, not just to look at, as I said, but as a precious piece of puzzle for your business development. Because I'm pretty sure, and I don't know what to do now to persuade more female to start their own businesses. Because as I said, out of my 9 startup teams, all founders are male only. So the question is how to motivate, how to give more self-confidence, how to support young talents in tech it's funny that English has a special expression to have balls to start their own business. So this is my sort of statement. Ladies, genius ladies in tech, world, let's have more balls, because without this, we cannot be as successful as men.
Thank you. It's a very good point. Monika?
Can I add a few more things?
Yes, please. As many as you want.
Thank you. First of all, I think we need difference to challenge ourselves. Because if we are with the people who think the same, know the same, have the same routine, we are not challenged, and therefore we don't think. We only think if someone asks us something, or we are challenged with something which is not the same thinking we have. And I know that for granted because when I was in the university, I studied with my husband, and if there was one mathematical problem with two solutions, we would always get the two different solutions, never the same, never for 5 years, you know. So we need this challenge to think. That's the first thing. And the second thing is we need broader diversity. It's not about genders only, it's about age, it's about background, it's about culture, it's about nationality. So we need a broader support and a broader tolerance so that we can use this diversity in our work, and then we'll get much better results. And the third thing, to answer what a man will, think of this discussion, yes, the jobs of the market at the moment, the highly paid jobs are in tech, in computer science and in science, and we miss women there, and we miss women from schools. And of course, maybe you are supporting the women in general, but believe me, you will see what support means when you hit the first thing with your daughter, for example. When you have to explain her that she needs to fight back with some prejudice, and that she's actually as good in math as the rest of the guys, and that comment that the teacher did have nothing to do with her personality. And then you will know what you need to do in this discussion.
Interesting point. Anca, again, coming back to, because you really had a lot of experience witnessing startups and women in startups, what would you add to everything that the ladies have mentioned so far? Because when we were talking yesterday with you, and you mentioned something, for some reason, when there is a female in a startup, they tend to present better, they tend to do better, and maybe we don't know why this is, but it's a matter of fact. What is it that we can, just do a little bit more nudging to women to get in the industry?
I think that we should collaborate better as women. I think that's probably the first thing that we should do to get, further ahead in this community is stop accusing the men and actually focus on the women. And to also answer one of the questions, what would you say to men not interested in this conversation? Because I am all for women in tech. Why is this my problem too? Because this is a community. Because entrepreneurship and startups are built around communities. And issues that are very prominent in our community are everybody's concern, not just the people that actually have that problem. And if you are all for women in tech, then you should maybe talk to someone that is not. And at every event, and I've been to so many conferences and events, and you see these guys, you see like, this is my reaction to them. I'm sorry, but like they look at you like from head to toe. But it's not a lot of them. It's just a few of them. And I have so many friends that are guys, in the startup world, and I love them. With them, they're some of my best friends. And there's one guy out there that's just like a sleazebag. And if you are all for women in tech, then go and slap that guy and tell, well, I'm not promoting violence. But just tell that guy, like, dude, seriously, this is wrong. Like, what are you doing? That's a woman out there, like you can't just treat her like that. So that's what you can do, and this is why you should be interested in this discussion. And then why don't you invite any men in the panel? Who in here, what guy would want to be on this panel? Right now, one guy, step on the stage. That's why. Okay, so we helped. We didn't find him before the panel, so.
Yeah.
What's your name?
I'm Ivo. Nice to meet you.
Same here. So do we have any questions for Ivo then?
So why do you think we should have more women in tech, or should we have more women in tech?
Absolutely. I agree with the point about this diversification. It's not a problem about women in tech or other people in tech. It's about diversification. People from different backgrounds. No, it doesn't matter the gender, any background. We need it, especially in startups, because a startup is, like Salim said, craftsmanship. And you have to know a lot of things. You have to think a lot of things in a lot of different ways that you have never thought of before. And the only way to make it is to mix different people. And men and women think different. And I think differences have to be embraced. They should not divide us. They should unite us, because you girls know something that I don't know. And probably I know something that you don't know. Mm-hmm. And I'll be glad to share it if you return to me what you know that I don't.
Okay.
So that's why we need more women and more people from all kinds of backgrounds.
Yes, I agree with you completely, and I think we all agree that we need more women, but for some reason we don't have as many women as we all wish. And part of the reason is that for some reason they don't feel very comfortable. So what is it that, you as a representative of men can, do you have any idea why this is? What is it that men can do to help women feel a bit more comfortable?
Can I also answer? There was a question earlier about what should organizations do, organizations that are involved in the development of this. Get more females that are role models and get them, in touch with the guys. And then the guys go home and they're like, oh, I met this amazing woman and she knows what she's talking about. And they'll spread the word. So, thanks, Anca.
Well, I share the blame for not having enough women in startups, in tech in general, and maybe in some other industries. Because we men, I know you already said it in the bar, how men talking bar. So when men are only men in a men's company, conversations evolve to a certain level that would make any woman uncomfortable. And I'm guilty of that as well, as any man, because I work in exclusively male companies, and I see how things happen, and men don't want to break that in some spaces. They're comfortable with that, and we have conversations like, if we hire a woman, it will never be the same. We cannot make the same jokes. The culture will change. Okay, so this is a company. But in startups, again, I think it's valuable, and I think we need to make we need to compromise to lower our level of intensity, let's say. Lower the brohood and enjoy some sisterhood. But you also have to give us a hand. You also have to give us a hand.
No, I do. I agree with you. And then, I would assume we also, Emma Watson stand a couple of weeks ago on the UN stage, and she said, you know what, this is a fight that, both genders should be having. This is not just, women hating men because women love men, and it's not about hating, and it's not about just being a woman problem. It's actually being a male problem as well, because then males also need to, fit some sort of a stereotype, which maybe perhaps they don't. And she sort of stood there and pleaded, stay with a piece of paper like this, and, with the hashtag he for she, and Instagram it. And that's why I'm interested. What else is it that we can do, both male and female, so we fix this broken communication? Because I'm getting the feeling that we've broken the way we communicate somewhere. And this is part of the problem. None of us wants to get out of our comfort zone. Women don't want to get out of the comfort zone because they don't want to ask questions and feel silly in front of men. And then men don't want to get out of the comfort zone because they still want to keep on drinking beer and telling dirty jokes. So where is this middle ground that we meet?
Where is this middle ground? Well, you have to be more confident and maybe a little bit less sensitive. Although sensitivity is what's your best feature, basically. but maybe in the beginning to get accepted in the team, to make men feel secure, because this is our way we protect ourselves. The brohood, the bro jokes, we're insecure around women because we also like women. Yeah, so we need some time to get used to you, know you.
Yeah, no, you're bringing a very good point. I think us women should understand a very important thing. Men are just as insecure as we are. They just have a better way of hiding it. Anca?
I think it's very important to stop taking things personally. So, every reaction, every action, everything that a person says, it's a reflection of who they are. It's not related at you, unless, well, there are some cases, but most of the times, the things that people say and the jokes that guys do, in the bar, and, the dick jokes and the fart jokes and all that stuff, it's not an attack to women. It's just who they are. It's just like they giggle at fart jokes. It has nothing to do with women at all, So if you get to understand that as women, if you get to understand that guys make stupid jokes because they think it's funny, they have a different background, they have a different wire in their brain. Just not take it personally and start to try to understand why is it funny. And and for guys also, don't think that women are okay, for guys it's pretty easy. Let go of the prejudice that has been installed in the mind of the guys for centuries, basically.
Yeah. Lucie, just a quick comment from all of you because we're slightly running out of time.
All agreed. It's about the people, and what defines us is not whether we're a man or a woman, or what's our ethnicity, what's our background, what's our nationality. It's time we just focus on all these tiny features. I'm more sensitive or not, I'm more emotional or not, or I don't know, I like drinking beer or not. It's not either an advantage or a disadvantage. It's something that I can use to make stuff happen.
One of my bosses told me once, Jarmila, if you want your team to go somewhere, you should go there first, and the team will follow. So I would say if we want to change the patterns of behavior, we should from now on look at the different possibilities and opportunities which will allow us, if you are a man, to see a potential female candidate to join our team, and if you are a female, maybe we should also and could hire someone as well. So if you want to go somewhere, go there first, and I would say that if we start the change, it will spread out, hopefully.
I want to add something very specific from my background. I actually succeeded the most when there were some colleagues, mainly men, when I was wondering what to do, who just said, go for it. I believe in you. I believe that you will do it. And that was the most significant thing that I can think of looking at my background and my past that helped me. So that's the thing I can just tell you. If you see guys, men or women who are struggling with something, instead of trying, to split between men and women, just help them and just encourage them to step forward and to try it and support them. That's it.
I think it's a very good point to finish off with. So go for it. Thank you, ladies, and thank you for joining our conversation halfway. I think we'll make a note. Next year we'll have male contributors into this panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much.